She called animal control at 7:43 in the morning. She told the operator there was a dog tied to the lamppost outside her house. No tag, no chip ID, soaking wet in the October rain. The operator said someone would be there in 4 to 5 hours. Julia said okay, hung up, and stood at the window watching the dog through the glass. He hadn't moved since she first noticed him, just sitting at the base of the lamppost, leash pulled taut around his neck, enormous brindle head tilted slightly down. Not struggling, not whining, not doing anything at all, just waiting the way animals wait when they have already stopped expecting anything good. She went outside at 7:51 with a towel and a bowl of water because she could not do nothing for 4 hours. He let her approach. He drank the entire bowl in 11 seconds, then sat back down. She went inside. She watched the clock. At 12:17 in the afternoon, the animal control truck pulled up. Julia walked outside. The officer opened the back of the truck and motioned toward the dog. The dog stood, turned once, and looked back at Julia. 5 seconds of eye contact. She said, "Give me a minute." Julia Navarro was 36 years old, an occupational therapist at St. Luke's Rehabilitation Center in Denver, Colorado, and the kind of person who spent her professional life teaching other people how to reclaim the things they had lost: independence, mobility, the belief that ordinary life was still available to them. She was very good at her job. She had not yet figured out how to apply any of that to herself. The previous 2 years had been what she privately called a slow disappearing act. The relationship with Marcus hadn't ended with a confrontation, a discovery, or any single moment she could point to and say that was it. It had ended the way a fire goes out in a room nobody is watching. He hadn't been cruel, he had just been the kind of present that made Julia feel steadily smaller, until one morning she looked in the mirror before work and could not remember the last time she had made a decision without first calculating his reaction. She had ended it in March. It was now October. She had a 3-year-old daughter named Maya, a 2-bedroom house in Washington Park, and a life she was still in the process of recognizing as entirely her own. She was rebuilding the way you rebuild after something that didn't leave marks anyone else could see. Carefully, and mostly alone, and at a pace that felt too slow from the inside. She did not need a dog. She told herself that while walking back outside to cancel the truck. The officer waited. The dog waited. The rain started again. She signed the temporary hold paperwork at 12:34 and brought him inside. He walked through the front door and sat down in the middle of the kitchen like he had already decided where things stood. 143 pounds of brindle cane Corso, coat still dark with rain, head wider than the cabinet handles, amber eyes moving slowly around the room with the unhurried attention of someone taking careful inventory. Maya walked in from the living room, stopped, and looked at him. He turned and looked at her. She said, "Big." He wagged his tail once. That was the entire introduction. Julia named him Rex because it was the first word that came to her, and she told herself the name didn't matter since this was temporary. She told herself that again before bed. By the following morning, Rex had claimed the couch, knocked her coffee off the counter with his tail while turning around, and deposited a drool puddle the size of a salad plate under the kitchen table. He had also, at some point during the night, relocated himself to the hallway outside Maya's bedroom door, where Julia found him at 6 a.m., sitting in the dark, completely still, facing her room like a decision that had already been made without requiring discussion. Julia stood in the hallway for a long moment. Then she walked to the kitchen and called animal control to tell them she was keeping the dog. The first weeks had their own specific texture of chaos. Rex treated the coffee table as a loose suggestion and the couch as a legal right. He rode in the passenger seat with the posture of a co-pilot who hadn't been asked for input but had opinions regardless. Maya began every single morning by walking to wherever Rex was, pressing her face into the back of his neck and saying his name until he turned around. He always turned around, every time, with the unhurried patience of something that quietly decided this was its primary function. His drool required a dedicated management system. She bought a second mop. The kitchen floor remained a condition she navigated rather than solved. He cleared the fruit bowl off the counter 4 times without apparent remorse, and the 5th time, he paused and looked at Julia first, which she chose to interpret as the closest thing to a conversation they had yet managed. People on her block crossed the street when they saw him coming. Most of them crossed back after the second week. She stopped checking the locks twice before bed sometime around week 3. She hadn't fully realized she had been doing that until she noticed she had stopped. But here's what she hadn't told anyone at work, or in her building, or in the careful reconstruction of a life she was still learning to inhabit. Marcus had been leaving voicemails, again, not threatening, not the kind of thing that qualified as anything official. Messages left at 10:30, at 11:15, at 11:47 at night, in a tone that sat somewhere between persistence and something harder to name. He wasn't aggressive, he was the other thing, the thing that is more difficult to explain to anyone who hasn't experienced it, which is the specific weight of a person who keeps reminding you, very quietly, that they are still there. Julia had stopped listening to the voicemails, but she knew they were coming, and she had started sleeping with one ear slightly open, the way you do when you're not sure what you're listening for. Rex had apparently decided that was not acceptable. If you've made it this far and still haven't subscribed, that honestly stings a little. Hit the subscribe button. You're gonna want to see what happens next. By month 2, a new structure had settled over the house. Julia drove Maya to daycare every morning with Rex in the passenger seat, and something about that specific arrangement, her daughter in the back, this enormous animal in the front, the three of them moving through the city as a unit, felt like something she hadn't had in a long time. A formation, a household that was complete on its own terms. On weekends, they took the park trail, Rex walking beside the stroller with a calm, deliberate pace that parted foot traffic without anyone needing to understand why. One Saturday at Wash Park, a man let his young son approach from 50 feet away, watching the entire time, ready to intervene. The boy put both hands on Rex's face and laughed. Rex sat down, lowered his head to the boy's level, and held absolutely still. The father stood there for a moment, then he exhaled. "I didn't know dogs like that could be like that," he said. Julia smiled. "Most people don't." A woman from the 3rd floor of her building left a note under her door in November. She had been visibly uncomfortable in the elevator with Rex since the beginning. The note said, "I want you to know that last Tuesday a man followed me into the lobby and your dog stepped in front of me without being told and didn't move until the man left. He didn't growl, he didn't bark, he just stood there. I've been trying to figure out how to say thank you for a week." Julia read it 3 times. Then she looked at Rex, who was asleep on the couch. On a Sunday in December, she drove them to Chatfield Reservoir. She ran the trail with Rex off-leash, Maya in the carrier against her chest, cold air coming off the water, and for the first time since March, she felt completely present in her own life, not managing it from a careful distance, not surviving it, inside it with both feet, with a 143-pound brindle cane Corso charging through the frost-edged grass beside her like he had been built for exactly this kind of morning. Some things don't announce what they're doing while they're doing it. They just quietly rearrange everything around you until one day you recognize what's changed. The night that mattered happened on a Friday in January at 3:58 in the morning. Rex woke her, not by barking, by standing at the bedroom doorway with his body angled toward the front of the house, a low vibration moving through his chest. Not a sound yet, just the physical signal that something had changed in the air outside. Julia sat up. The house was completely dark. 3 knocks at the front door, hard enough to mean something, the kind of knock that doesn't ask. She picked up her phone. She didn't move. 3 more. Rex walked to the front hallway and placed himself between the door and the corridor that led to Maya's room. He didn't bark, he didn't growl. He simply stood there, all 143 pounds of him, perfectly still in the exact center of the only path to her daughter. Not threatening, not performing, just present in a way that made the space behind him feel completely different from the space in front of him. Julia dialed 911 at 3:02. She stayed on the line, her voice low, Maya's door still closed and silent down the hall. The officer's report noted that a man matching Marcus's description was observed sitting in a vehicle 2 blocks from her address at 3:11 in the morning. He left before officers made contact. No incident was recorded. Julia sat on the kitchen floor for a long time after they left. Rex lay down beside her without being invited. His breathing was slow and completely even. Maya had not woken up. The house was quiet in a way it hadn't been quiet before, a different kind of quiet, the kind that comes after something has been resolved rather than just postponed. She thought about the locks, about week 3 when she had stopped checking them, and what it meant that an animal she had found tied to a lamppost in the rain had, without announcement or instruction, given back to her something she hadn't known she was missing. Not just the feeling of safety, the feeling that she was allowed to feel safe, that the door between her life and everything outside it was being held by something solid. He hadn't been trained for it, he hadn't been asked. He had simply walked through her front door, taken his position, and stayed. Rex is 4 years old now, or close to it. Nobody knows exactly. He still owns the couch with total conviction. He still rides shotgun. He still sits outside Maya's door every night, and every morning at 6 a.m. he is still there, still facing her room, still working. And Julia hasn't checked the locks twice before bed since October. Maya calls him her dog. Every morning she says his name until he turns around, and every morning he does, every single time, with the same patient certainty of something that has nowhere more important to be. Julia found him tied to a lamppost in the rain. He had no tag, no name that anyone knew, no record of anyone who wanted him enough to stay. Some things get left behind not because they aren't worth keeping, but because the person who left them didn't understand yet what they had. Rex understood. He was just waiting for someone to walk back outside in the rain. Would you have taken in a 143-pound dog you found abandoned on your street, or would you have waited for animal control? Tell me in the comments. She called animal control at 7:43 in the morning. There was a 143-pound brindle cane Corso tied to the lamppost outside her house, soaking wet in the October rain, and she told herself this was not her problem. The truck arrived at noon. The dog turned and looked at her one time before stepping toward the crate. She said, "Wait." What happened inside that house over the next 4 months and what that dog did at 2:58 in the morning on a January night is something she is still not entirely sure how to explain.